Okay, so I recorded this lecture once already, and then I deleted it very promptly on accident. So it's been that kind of day for me, strangely enough. It's Monday. This is my supplementary lecture to the stuff that we're covering right now in section 1 of public speaking. I get confused between my comp and public speaking classes. This week I want you guys to read parts 2 and 3 in the book. So part 2 starts on page 33 and part 3 starts on page 79. This is supplemental information to the outline video I posted, so the one that covers the outlining. Read this if you want to know what else is going on in there. You should be reading the book anyway, simply because that's the book for the class, and since we don't do face-to-face except once a week, you should be reading this as much as possible. A couple of things I want to cover as supplemental to what we need for giving the speech on Thursday is I want to cover the note card information on that I've posted on Blackboard, and I also want to cover a couple kind of tips and tricks that you might need to be aware of for the demonstration speech. So the first thing I want to look at is I want to go back through these speech guidelines. You can find these if you go to course content, and then under course content you go to section 1. Under section 1 is the demonstration speech folder. Under the demonstration speech folder is where all this stuff lives. So it's kind of like going down the rabbit hole. Alright, first off, 3 to 5 minutes. Your speech needs to be 3 to 5 minutes in length. Now, the sample speech that I posted is a little bit longer, but keep in mind that I am over-demonstrating. It's a demonstration of a demonstration. So everything I do is bigger and longer to give you guys more of an idea of what I'm looking for. Please make sure you stay within that timeline, 3 to 5 minutes. If we go over that, we're at risk of not getting everything done in the time we need to get stuff done. We only have 8 weeks, of course, left. So this next meeting will be our second meeting, which means we only have 6 meetings after that to get through the next 3 speeches. So please, please, please have that done. Make sure you are picking a topic that you have some knowledge in. I picked the French press topic simply because that is something I do every day. I make my coffee that way every single morning that I drink coffee. And it's kind of second nature to me to just explain to you what the steps are, because I do it every day. I'm kind of the expert. I know what I'm doing. That's what we're looking for in the demonstration speech. Plan ahead, bring stuff for cleanup. We need to get kind of rolling on the speeches as we start on Thursday. We're just going to go bam, 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 done. Try and get through as much of it as possible. The outline format, and you need to pay attention to this, is Times New Roman, 12-point font, double spaced. So I need to have space between the lines, double spaced, 1-inch margins, correct grammar and composition. It needs to be written in complete sentences. Failure to do so is not going to be a very good grade on your outline grade. And it needs to be turned in by the due date, which is 5 o'clock on Thursday. 5 o'clock Thursday. If it's not updated in Blackboard, it will be very shortly. In fact, I'm going to write myself a quick note. Update. If I don't write it down, it doesn't exist. So the other thing is the note card. You need 1 3x5 note card, not 2, not 3, not 4, just 1. You can use front and back. You can turn it long ways. You can turn it sideways. I don't care how you write on it, as long as you have 1 3x5 note card. You can have no note card or 1 3x5 note card. More than that will lose you points. The point of this is to make sure that you guys are working on memorization skills. Okay? When you become a famous public speaker, you can have as many note cards as you want. Make eye contact. Make sure you're looking at the audience. Plan an introduction that grabs and a conclusion that leaves them feeling like they watched something worthwhile. Save any handouts or food for the end of class, because if you give a class food while you're trying to give a speech, you're going to lose them within the first 30 seconds. Also remember to have fun with the demonstration speeches. These are the most fun speeches in the class because you get to be the expert, which is always wonderful. I find that students prefer this speech more than any other speech we give. Practice 6 to 7 times. I'm not kidding on this. You have to practice the speech in order to give it effectively. And be positive. Remember, the power of positive thinking is so, so powerful, because it's kind of like the Amy Cuddy fake it till you make it, but there's a little bit more to it than that. in that when you imagine yourself doing well, you're more likely to do well. Have you ever noticed when you say things are going to go wrong, oh, it's going to be awful, I'm not going to have a good time? It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Well, it works the same way when you're being positive. The more positive you try to be, and the more you try to make yourself believe in that positivity, okay, the more likely you are to be positive and feel positive about the speech. And the speech will reflect that. So it's almost like acting. You have to get up in front of the camera and pretend that you're someone else. That's kind of the whole thing with public speaking. The fake it till you make it, pretend it till you become it. Okay, you don't have to be that person all the time, just when you're up in front of the audience. Also, remember, no outline equals no speech. If you don't give one of the 4 major speeches, and there are only 4 major speeches in this class, if you don't give one of them, you do not pass this course. This is a public speaking course. You have to be in class to give these speeches. I can't stress that enough. That's really super important. I have students in my face-to-face classes here at Cali in Arc City who don't seem to understand it, and they had 16 weeks to get this done instead of just the 8. So please, 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 please make sure that you're doing those things. I want to cover a couple of things regarding the speech note card, which is also under the demonstration speech folder, and you can read this on your own, but I'm going to cover it very briefly. Some things, I have some do's and don'ts, so some things to do is, how do I transfer my outline to note cards or a note card? And the first thing under the do's list is underline all keywords and phrases, things that your audience might not understand. Underline it. If they don't know what a snickerdoodle cookie is, you need to explain what a snickerdoodle cookie is, and you need to underline it in your outline. You can color code it. You can use highlighters. You can write in colored pencil. I don't care how you write on your note card in terms of coloring and formatting and stuff like that. That's up to you to help you remember. So whatever helps you remember best, use that. Copy only keywords or phrases according to your outline format. Try not to write incomplete sentences. We're not going for the Guinness World Book of the smallest written sentence. We're going for keywords that help you remember what you're going to say. Include citations. So when we get to the speeches that require source work, make sure you're including your verbal citations. We'll talk about that more when we get to the informative speech. Review your cards to delete any information that you easily recall. If you can remember it without help, it doesn't need to be on the note card. The information that needs to be on the note card is the information that you have a hard time remembering right off the bat. You only get one 3x5 note card. You can get them at Walmart, you can get them at Office Depot, you can get them at pretty much anywhere that sells paper. Highlight material you have difficulty remembering, so again, using that color coding system to help you remember. Make sure your handwriting is legible. I have people who will type on these note cards because they can't read their own handwriting. You can customize this however you want, but the fact is, if you can't read it, it's not going to do you any good. So write it big enough that you can see it, and write it legibly. Some do nots to pay attention to are, do not include fold sentences in your card unless they are direct quotes. We'll talk more about this for the informative speech. Do not write so small that you have to squint to read the information, because when you do that, you end up reading like this with your note card in front of your face, and I'm sure as you can hear through that microphone right there, you can't hear what the person is saying very well. So you need to make sure you keep the note card down here and just kind of glance down. Big enough words that you can just glance down and figure out what you're trying to say. Do not use abbreviations or keywords or phrases unless you can easily recall them. So if you don't know what AAA means, write it out. Okay? And then we have the question, how do I use my note card during the speech? Some do's. If you don't need it, don't use it. That's simple. If you don't need it, if you can remember everything you're doing and you don't need a note card, don't use one. Maintain audience eye contact when moving from one point to the next. So this is an indicator that you need to memorize your transition statements. First, I'm going to have you gather your materials for the speech, etc. Number 3, hold the note card in your hand at all times unless you're using a podium. Don't swing it around. Don't gesture with it. Don't throw it across the room. Keep it in your hand. Keep it very still. Practice giving your speech while using your note card. So if you practice the speech, practice it whole hog. Go 100%. Practice it, unless you're making food, in which case just don't go through the actual food making process, just go through the motions of making food. Do not read directly from your card, only glance at it. If you read directly from your card, again, you run the risk of putting something in front of your face, which makes it hard to hear you. And then do not screw around with your card. Don't twist it, don't crumple it, don't mess it up, don't break it, don't rip it up. I had a kid who ripped his note card into over 16 pieces during the course of a speech once, which, while it was funny, he couldn't finish his speech because he'd ripped up the area where his conclusion was supposed to be. So it's just better to try and keep your hands stable if possible. And that's most of the information that covers the speech note card. So some things to remember: there will be a quiz that goes under the section 1.3, which covers parts 2 and 3 of the book. That will be up probably by Wednesday at the latest. It's due on Sunday. Okay, it's due this Sunday, February 5th by 11:59 p.m. on Blackboard. Also, if I don't have your thesis statement, you might want to think about emailing that to me so that I can see it. My email is Kimberly, KIMBERLEE .cook, COOK, at cowley.edu. If you use any other email than that one, it will not get to me. So please make sure, if you need to email me, if you want me to look over your outline to make sure that it looks okay, if you want me to check your thesis statement, you're emailing me at that email, or you can send me that information via Remind. You can't send me the outline via Remind, but you can send me the thesis statement via Remind. It's up to you. If you did not sign up for Remind, that information will be shortly available under announcements on Blackboard. Other than that, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, as always, feel free to give me a shout. Have a great day.